So I always hear this question. It's like, can I use decaf coffee while I'm quitting caffeine? Now, this is a tricky one. A lot of people look at it the wrong way. I think, for one, decaf, it still has caffeine in it. So I think it has like 11 milligrams around that. So there's still a little bit of caffeine. People might say, oh, well, that's basically nothing. That's negligible. I disagree. I think if you are going through withdrawal and you want to actually reset your brain, like as a kid, you didn't need a decaf coffee every morning. You just, you got up, you existed, you still had your energy, and you went outside and you played and you had a good time, and life was awesome. But now, you're heavily relying on this shit because society just pushes it, and yeah, I think you shouldn't. However, I think decaf is probably the most effective tool you can possibly use for quitting caffeine. Now, hear me out. So, when I first started quitting caffeine, I was like 4 cups a day, working a corporate job, drinking alcohol on the weekends, fucking living the dream apparently. And well, pretty much like every other person in 9 to 5, but or in the world. But yeah, I was doing that, and I realized I kind of traced back my life, and I was like, okay, well, where's my energy was so shit, my mood was gone to shit, and the mental health just crashed. And I was like, what happened? I kind of looked back, and I was like, oh, it seems to stem from around the time, like a lot of things happened and changed in my life, but it kind of stemmed around the time when I started taking pre-workout, hitting the gym, and that pre-workout went from 3 days a week to like coffee every other day, to coffee every day, to working labor jobs and 4 cups a day, and yeah, I got all fucked up from that. So I decided to quit and see what would happen, and I fell deep in this like caffeine quitting rabbit hole, and I decided to actually research it. And I tried to cut from like the typical thing, everyone says, oh, well, you start at 4 cups a day, you go down slowly, you get down to 3, get to 2, and mitigates withdrawal and all this shit. It's all bullshit. The actual tactic that I would use, if I were you, to utilize decaf is, if you have 4 cups of coffee a day, do 3 regular cups, keep the routine, and then on the 4th cup, you're gonna still keep your 4th cup, but you're gonna do half regular, half decaf. Do that for a week or so, and then keep slowly reducing it down. For me, it was like a game. I probably reduced it quicker than I needed to, but it was just fun. Like, oh, how low can I get my caffeine dose? And I remember I used to go to Tim Hortons in the morning, and by the end of it, I was drinking like 1 cup of coffee a day at this point. And I was like, oh yeah, can I get a black coffee, half regular, half decaf? And they'd look at me like, huh? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess you can do that. And then they just poured it up for me. But yeah, it works. That method really does work, along with like the mindset shift. If you do want my whole system, it's in the description, it's free. But yeah, when it comes to using decaf, when you get to the point where you're down to nothing, and you're like, oh, well, can I have decaf? Do you really need it, bro? You didn't need it when you were a kid, you don't need it now. I think that's just the addict in you rationalizing. When you're going through withdrawal, and the withdrawal for caffeine, it can last, like, in my opinion, I think you need to be 8 to 12 months, I think a year, honestly. Give it a year sober from anything to really judge if sobriety is good. It's like, if you're 3 months off like caffeine, you can't determine what it's like to really be off caffeine. Some people think, oh yeah, withdrawal only lasts like a week, but in my opinion, it takes a lot longer to get over like the anxiety and for your brain to really recalibrate. Like if you've been drinking like 4 cups of coffee every day for like 4 years, 5 years, 20 years even, some people, like it's going to take more than like 2 weeks to get back to 100% normal. Like your brain is used to operating with this compound, with this drug. It is a drug, caffeine is a drug, and it's in your system. So it takes time for your brain and your body to like recalibrate, and your dopamine receptors to go back to normal, for your sleep to get normal, and all that shit. So you need to give it time, and the only way to do that is to completely just get off caffeine, like even decaf. Like at some point you need to cut down, be a man, and fucking get off that shit. just do it, because think about it like this. If your life is shit now, and you change nothing, imagine what it's going to look like in 20 years if you're still chugging back like 2 decafs a day. It's not a lot of caffeine, but like it's still, when your brain desensitizes and comes back to normal, 20 milligrams, 30 milligrams, it still hits you, you still like feel it slightly, especially if you're super sensitive to caffeine. Some people aren't, but I am, so I noticed it. Anyway, if you still want something to drink, like ritualistic, switch to carbonated water. Like honestly, like sparkling water, man. I live by sparkling water. I love it so much. So maybe it's the addict in me. I heard a lot of ex-alcoholics too. They really like their carbonated water and sweets. But yeah, carbonated water is awesome. It's no calories. Maybe I'll be an ex-carbonated water drinker too in a couple of years, but probably not. If you are thinking about quitting, use the decaf method. it's probably the most effective method, along with the mindset that you actually need. There's a certain mindset in the description. It's free, bro. Join the community. That has no members right now, but hopefully it'll blow up soon. Hey guys, good luck on your caffeine journey. Quit the fucking decaf.